Let's get started with today's problem. It says that below is the code snippet. What does the below code snippet print out? How can we fix the anonymous functions to behave as we would expect? Okay, so we in Python we have a function list which contains up to a range functions that append lambda I. Okay, it contains a lambda function for each of those functions and you're just returning I. So if you print f for in functions, what does it print back? Calling that lambda function, it should print back I. How can we fix the anonymous functions? So expected solution, I think, is if we are ranging from 1 to 10, we should print the numbers like 1 to 10, but I think it is not. Let's see. Let's copy over the function, go to the problem, paste the problem. Okay, so first guess is it's printing for fn functions, right? And since it's printing I, it should print the last value of I because you're referencing this variable. Let's verify that. Let's copy the entire func code, paste it, save. Okay, so we are printing 999. Okay, so if we set i's value is equal to a over here and again print it back, yes, it prints back a because if how does this work? Like the scope of lambda I over here refers to lambda receives one variable as a function parameter. It returns. Okay, in this case, this lambda is not accepting any parameter like function definition does not accept any parameter. It's just returning the I, but you're just returning the pointer to I, right? Like this is the reference. You're not storing it as a value, correct? Like because basically what this is like if we had to write it in an alternate, like without the lambda function, this is something like def func, right? We'll have a sample function, it accepts nothing, it's returning I, right? This is the thing, and then we are appending functions.append func. I'm thinking this is what is happening over here, right? So if we save, run, yeah, it's the same thing because I over here is a reference to this variable, right? It's not an actual pointer to the location like in memory. What is the value of I? You're not storing it as a value, right? So for us to like expected behavior probably might have been like to print from like 1 to 10. So if that's the case, we need to store the value. So how can we store the value? We can, if we accept it as a parameter, right? Like let's say we accept it like num, right? And default that to the value of I, whatever is, usually you can default it to 1 2 3, right? Like and then return num. That should be in essence you're capturing the value of I and setting that as a default value for this function, which is then returned. So then if you even set the value of I equal to a, it should not change because already the value of I has been assigned to this another variable. Like it's not only pointing to the object I, it's actually the value. Let's try that out. Yes, this is printing. So if we were to convert this back into a lambda function, we would have something like lambda, we can call it as num, correct? Could have it as num and say num equal to I, right? That makes sense. You can just have it as num equal to I, the default parameter, and then you're returning I. So this should be the same as this. Let's print it back. Nope, something's going on. Let's check it once again. Did I save it? Okay, so it's not happening. What is the reason? We are appending lambda. Oh, sorry, I'm returning num, right? So that's the problem, because it's the reference. Now if we were to run the program, yes, we get 0 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so the issue was that each of the lambda functions were holding a reference to pointer I, like whatever we were returning, right? I. So it was holding a reference, and when we were printing it, it was only looking at the since we are updating the value of I in each iteration, the last reference to I would have been to a value called as 9, or in this case A, right? But now what we are doing it is, in each iteration we are making num a temporary variable or the function variable over here to point to the reference of I. So when it is 0, it would be pointing to some pointer which is pointing to a value 0 1 2 3 and so on, and that is what will be being printed and not the final pointer of I. I think this should resolve it. This was a simple one.